I think, your statement of did the legislature drop the ball last year, I think the answer is yes, and I think the legislature has dropped the ball the last 3 years, quite frankly. We've seen this economic times worsening every year. We've continued to grow the rate of spending by 4% pretty much every single year. We can't do it any longer. As far as where the cuts should come, they're going to have to come across the board. I don't think we're in a situation right now where we can pick one or two areas to fix this problem. These have to come across the board.
Exactly.
Everyone's going to feel it, and it's the unpopular things it's transportation, it's education, it's our police and fire. Everyone's going to have to feel this.
It's interesting when you make a statement like that, saying that everyone's going to be feeling the pain, and then you make the statement, oh no, we cannot raise revenues, we cannot raise taxes. Then that's talking up to me both sides of your face.
Well,
I mean, or the situation.
There's two ways to solve a deficit. You can raise revenue, or you can cut spending.
And you can't do both of either one. We have to look at both of them. We cannot just look at one or the other.
We've raised revenues every single year. We're taxing residents out of the state of Maryland.
Senator, do you have a specific revenue source in mind?
Well, the only revenue source that, the one that I think we have to look at is alcohol tax. I mean, it's not going to bring a lot of money, but it will bring some money. And we have to look at those industries such as how we are looking at the gross revenues and see how we can look at adjusting the taxes. I'm on the Business Tax Reform Commission, which is in place now. We're looking at combined reporting. We're looking at a couple of other strategies that have been very successful in other places around the country.
Delegate, on the alcohol tax, aside from the fact that you're in the restaurant business, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think there's a short-sightedness with the unintended consequences of these taxes. We raised the sales tax, revenue went down. We raised the cigarette tax, revenue went down.
People became unemployed.
We raised them. This happened way before the unemployment crisis happened. People went to other states to buy their cigarettes.
Has been going on for several
when
years.
we did the millionaires tax, they moved out of the state. So we can't look at what happens the next day and how much money it's going to bring in. What's the long-term effect of these taxes?
That is not true. You're saying
looking at the worst
state and they did not.
You're looking at the worst economy Maryland has ever seen, and you want to raise taxes. It is a recipe for disaster.
And we are doing a lot better than our surrounding neighbors, and it is not, you just look at what is happening to the lives of individuals. You look at the fact that so many people are unemployed, and when people are unemployed, they cannot spend money into the economy.
I agree. Let's stimulate the economy and get people back to work. Raising taxes and hitting their wallets even more is not going to bring them back to work. It's going to hurt them even deeper.
Well, one thing that did happen that was very good was that the Treasurer did sell individual retail bonds, and it was a very successful sale. It was over $200 million, which we raised, and then there was another retail sale that just concluded last week. So there are some small things. No, that's not too small, a couple $100 million. But, we have to look at creative ways of raising money, and we can't just look at cutting taxes, cutting programs, and not doing taxes. So I think we need to still work at it.
Let's talk about, speaking of big money, the governor this week unveiled the administration's proposed alignments, favored alignments for 2 new light rail lines.
Yes.
One across suburban Washington, one across Metro Baltimore. Yes. Your district,
yes,
what do you think of this?
Well, I think it's a great boom, a great infusion, stimulation into the economy. It can have a lot of spin-off effect. You create a lot of jobs, you create a lot of economic opportunities for small businesses, and but the alignment is questionable. You have challenges from both ends. Some individuals don't want tunneling, some individuals don't want above ground. I think that we have to make sure that we have a system that is an exact transportation system, not just a disjointed, buses here, light rail here, but you have a system that comes together that treats all communities fairly.
The hope is that the federal government would pick up half of the combined $3 billion. Can the state afford the rest?
Well, I'm going to shock you and agree with the Senator on this one. I think it's a good project. I think transportation projects should be a priority because I believe it's economic development. And it's going to help create jobs, and I think it's going to help merge populated areas together. I think transportation is an expenditure that we should look at, and when the federal government has the money earmarked for Maryland, we should take advantage of that. At the end of the day, these projects are very long-term. This isn't going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take a while to do this. It's going to put a lot of people to work, I think, doing it. But I think a transportation project of this magnitude is a positive thing for the state.
Yeah, and then with this opportunity is not going to come around in either of our lifetimes. Can I fairly say that? So I think that we really have to come together around alignment and, you know, really look at the bigger picture, as Delegate Kelly has said.
The Central Light Rail line through Baltimore had a few hiccups in its development. Do you have any concerns, you know, about the delays, the single tracking,
Sure.
the ridership projections falling short, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think that we really have to stimulate the campaign on getting ridership heightened, and that will happen. We have a lot of transit-oriented development projects coming online, not just in Baltimore City, but in the county, and I think that that we have to just make sure that we don't get caught up into mediocrity and create a highway to nowhere, like that was created with urban renewal, where you had a lot of people displaced, and you have a road to nowhere right now. And we have to make sure that we can start the project and finish it.
And Delegate, if the mass transit money means taking money away from highways, this thing isn't in your district or even your county, or are you okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a kind of piecemeal to get this thing put together with federal dollars, with state highway money to come from the Transportation Trust Fund here in the state of Maryland. But yeah, I mean, I think you got to look at our priorities, and the state is becoming more and more populated. We need to move people around, and this is certainly a way to do it efficiently. And I think in the long run, it's an investment that's worth it.
And as you said, this is long-term, and nobody should buy a ticket just yet.
That's right.
No, but I agree. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Delegate.
We can agree on some
Transit and highways working together.
Good place to end it. Senator Jones, Delegate King, thanks to both of you for being here. And now this week's Around Maryland segment.